Have you ever wondered why some women, upon entering a room, command everyone's attention without saying a word, while others, possessing all the attributes of classic beauty, go unnoticed? Why is it that in one woman's presence, you feel an urge to slow down, speak more softly, to be a better version of yourself, while the presence of another leaves no trace in your memory? This isn't magic, a genetic lottery, or the result of expensive procedures. The secret to this magnetic, all-consuming allure lies much deeper in the unseen layers of the psyche that Carl Jung dedicated his entire life to studying. He discovered that true attractiveness is not an outer shell, but a vibration that emanates from within. It's not about what a woman does to be liked, but who she has become on her journey toward herself. Most advice on attractiveness teaches you to put on a mask, how to smile correctly, what tone of voice to use, what clothes to wear. But Jung would tell you that this is a path to nowhere. A mask is always felt. It's fragile. It demands colossal energy to maintain, and ultimately it repels because there is no authentic person behind it. True, mature, irresistible attraction is born not from a desire to conform, but from the courage to be oneself. Today, we won't be talking about masks. We will journey inward. We will explore 7 simple yet fundamental steps that lead not to superficial changes, but to a profound transformation of your personality. These are not just tips. They are stages of a psychological alchemy capable of turning your inner energy into the pure gold of attraction. After these steps, men won't just notice you. They will be captivated, intrigued, and conquered by the quiet power that will radiate from you. Are you ready to stop playing by someone else's rules and discover within yourself the source of that very allure that doesn't fade with age, but only grows stronger? Then let's begin and pay special attention to the final steps. It is there that the key to your complete transformation lies. Step 1. Acknowledge your shadow, rejecting the good girl role. The first, and perhaps most difficult, step on the path to true attraction is to meet your own shadow. Jung called the shadow the part of our personality that we deny, suppress, and hide even from ourselves. It is the repository of our anger, envy, healthy selfishness, sexuality, aggression, everything that society and our upbringing have labeled as bad. A woman living in the good girl paradigm diligently cuts off her shadow. She is always nice, always accommodating, never angry, always ready to help. She creates a flawless, socially approved image. But this image is lifeless. It is predictable. It is flat. It lacks depth. Such a woman is convenient, but not captivating. Her kindness is not a conscious choice, but a fear of being rejected if she shows her true face. Jung taught that the shadow we deny does not disappear. It begins to control us from the underground. It breaks through as passive aggression, inexplicable, irritability, psychosomatic illnesses, or sudden outbursts at loved ones. But more importantly, a suppressed shadow deprives you of energy. The shadow hides not only darkness, but also a colossal life force, your authenticity, your passion. The male psyche is intuitively drawn to depth and complexity. A man is captivated, not by a perfect picture, but by a real, living woman who has both light and darkness. A woman who has accepted her shadow is not afraid to say no. She can allow herself to be in a bad mood. She doesn't hide her irritation behind a forced smile. There is a spark of unpredictability in her, a spice that makes her real. She is not bad, she is whole. Imagine a perfectly manicured, symmetrical French park. It is beautiful, but boring. Now, imagine a wild, primordial forest. It has sunlit, clearings and dark thickets, dangerous paths and hidden streams. This forest beckons, frightens, and mesmerizes all at once. It is alive. Your psyche is that forest. By allowing both light and shadow to exist within it, you gain incredible depth. How to take this step? Start observing yourself without judgment. When you feel envy toward a friend's success, don't scold yourself. Instead, ask, what do I truly want? What unmet need of mine is this envy pointing to? When you feel anger, don't suppress it. Acknowledge it. Yes, I am angry because my boundaries have been crossed. Integrating the shadow doesn't mean becoming mean and aggressive. It means reclaiming your right to the full spectrum of human emotions. It means ceasing to be convenient and starting to be authentic. And it is this authenticity, this honesty with yourself, that is the first and foremost source of magnetic attraction. A man may not understand it logically, but he will feel it instinctively. He will sense that he is with a living, breathing, whole person, not a function, not a role. And that is captivating step 2. Stop seeking a savior. Find your inner anchor. The second step is to exit the archetypal role of the damsel in distress who subconsciously awaits her knight in shining armor. This model is deeply ingrained in our culture and fairy tales. The beautiful but helpless princess waits for a prince to come, solve all her problems, fill her life with meaning, and make her happy. In real life, this psychological setup manifests as a constant search for external validation and support. The woman seeks a man not as an equal partner, but as a missing piece who must complete her. Her happiness, her self-esteem, her security, all are delegated to another person. This position creates an energy of neediness, dependency, and desperate clinging. And neediness, as Jung would say, is the most potent repellent in interpersonal relationships. An attractive woman is one who has become her own queen and her own savior. She doesn't look for someone to fill her emptiness because she has learned to fill herself. Her life is interesting and full, regardless of whether a man is in it or not. She has her own hobbies, her own goals, her own friends, her own world. A man in her life is not the center of her universe, but a wonderful addition to it. Jung spoke of the process of individuation, the journey of becoming a whole, self-sufficient person. A woman on this path stops projecting her expectations onto a man. She doesn't expect him to make her happy because she is responsible for her own happiness. She doesn't expect him to provide her security because she creates her own internal and external security. This doesn't mean she must become an iron lady who does everything herself and rejects help. Not at all. She gratefully accepts care and support, but the key difference is that she doesn't depend on them. She can manage on her own. And this fundamentally changes the entire dynamic of the relationship. A man with such a woman feels not pressure and responsibility for someone else's happiness, but freedom and inspiration. He sees not a bottomless pit of need that must constantly be filled, but a flourishing garden to which he has been invited. He doesn't need to save her, which allows him to relax and be himself. He wants to be with her not out of duty or pity, but out of a sincere desire to share her amazing world and invite her into his. How to take this step? Invest in yourself, in your education, your hobbies, your health. Find what ignites your passion and dedicate time to it. Learn financial independence. This isn't about big money, but about a sense of control over your life. Develop a social circle that isn't centered on a partner. Maintain connections with friends, family, and colleagues. Learn to solve your own problems. Before asking for help, ask yourself, what can I do myself? When you become the primary source of your own joy, love, and support, your energy changes. You begin to radiate not need, but abundance. You become the sun, not a planet orbiting someone else's sun, and people are instinctively drawn to such light. Step 3. Master the art of boundaries. Create your sacred space. The third step is to learn how to build and defend your personal boundaries. Jung emphasized that without a clear understanding of where I end and the other begins, it is impossible to build healthy relationships and preserve one's personality. A woman without boundaries is a house without doors. Anyone can enter, at any time, take whatever they want, and leave a mess behind. She is always available, always ready to listen, to cancel her plans, to sacrifice her time and energy. She is afraid to say no, fearing she will seem selfish or offend someone. As a result, she is constantly used, her time is not valued, and her kindness is taken for granted. Setting boundaries is not an act of aggression or alienation. It is an act of profound self-respect. It is a declaration to the world. My time is valuable. My energy is finite. My feelings matter. I have a right to my personal space. An attractive woman is a woman with clear yet flexible boundaries. She doesn't build stone walls around herself, but she has an elegant yet strong fence, with a gate that she opens only to those she wishes to let in. She knows how to say no, calmly, firmly, and without guilt. Thank you for the invitation, but I have other plans tonight. It makes me uncomfortable when you speak to me in that tone. I'm not ready to discuss this right now. These phrases don't destroy relationships. On the contrary, they make them healthier. They teach other people to respect you. Jung would say that people treat us the way we subconsciously allow them to treat us. By making yourself endlessly available, you devalue yourself in the eyes of others. Human psychology is such that we do not value what comes too easily and is always in surplus. When a man encounters a woman with boundaries, he receives an important signal. This woman values herself. This evokes not offense, but respect and interest. He understands that her attention, her time, her affection are not a given, but a privilege to be earned. This creates a healthy distance and intrigue. He starts thinking not about how to take advantage of her compliance, but about how to gain access to her amazing, well-guarded world. How to take this step. Start small. Decline a minor request you would normally agree to out of politeness. Set availability rules. You don't have to answer messages and calls instantly. Give yourself permission for a digital detox. Carve out time and space just for yourself. Let it be an hour a day or one evening a week, but this is your sacred time that no one can encroach upon. Listen to your body. A feeling of discomfort, irritation, or exhaustion after interacting with someone is a signal that your boundaries have been crossed. Analyze these moments. Boundaries are not walls that isolate you. They are your skin. It protects you while still allowing you to feel and interact with the world. A woman with healthy boundaries is a woman who knows her worth, and this quiet confidence in her own value is incredibly attractive. Step 4. Awaken your anima, the power of softness and receptivity. The fourth step is to consciously connect with your feminine essence, which Jung called the anima. Every person contains both a masculine principle, animus, logic, structure, action, control, and a feminine one, anima, intuition, emotion, flow, receptivity, creativity. The modern world often forces a woman to develop her masculine qualities, to be competitive, assertive, rational, and controlling. She builds a career, solves problems, achieves goals. This is wonderful, but if she loses touch with her anima in the process, she loses the source of her unique feminine power and allure. She becomes a man in a skirt, effective but devoid of that certain magic. An awakened anima is not weakness or passivity. It is a tremendous power, but of a different kind. It is the power of water, which flows around obstacles rather than breaking them. It is the power of the earth, which accepts a seed and nurtures life. A woman connected to her anima does not try to control everything around her. She trusts the flow of life. She knows not only how to speak, but also how to listen. Not only how to act, but how to be. Not only how to give, but also how to receive. Her energy becomes soft, fluid, enveloping. Her movements are graceful. Her voice is melodious. Her presence is calming. She lives more in her feelings and intuition than in mental constructs. For a man, Meeting such a woman is like a breath of fresh air. His own nature is the animus, action and structure. When he meets a woman living in her anima energy, a natural polarity is created, a powerful attraction like that between a positive and negative charge. With her, he doesn't need to compete. He can relax and manifest his best masculine qualities, to protect, to care for, to lead. Her softness doesn't make him weak. On the contrary, it awakens his strength. Her receptivity allows him to feel heard and understood on a very deep level. How to take this step? Develop a connection with your body. Dance, especially spontaneous, yoga, stretching, massage, anything that helps you move from your head into your sensations. Connect with nature. Walks in the woods, being near water, gardening. Nature is a pure manifestation of feminine energy. Engage in creativity without a goal. Draw, sing, sculpt, write poetry. Just for the process, for the pleasure of it. Practice receiving. Learn to accept compliments, help, and gifts with simple gratitude, without the urge to immediately repay the debt. Learn to listen. In a conversation, try not to prepare your response, but simply to absorb what the other person is saying, observing their emotions and nonverbal cues. By returning to your anima, you don't become weaker. You gain a different kind of power, quiet, deep, and incredibly alluring. You become not a warrior, but a muse, not a manager, but a source of inspiration. And this energy can captivate any man far more effectively than any logical arguments or external achievements. Step 5. Cultivate psychological depth, moving from chit-chat to dialogue. The 5th step is to develop the capacity for deep, meaningful communication. Most people live on the surface of their psyche and communicate on the level of the persona, their social mask. Conversations about the weather, work, news, and gossip are safe, but empty chit-chat. They don't create connection. They don't leave a mark on the soul. Jung taught that beneath the thin layer of consciousness lies a boundless ocean of the unconscious, a world of archetypes, symbols, dreams, and true feelings. A woman who possesses an irresistible allure intuitively or consciously knows how to dive into these depths and invite her companion to join her. A conversation with her is not an exchange of information, but a meeting of souls. She is not afraid to talk about what matters, dreams, fears, values, about what truly touches and moves her. She knows how to ask open, deep questions that make a person look inside themselves. Not, "How was your day?" but, "What was the most vivid feeling you experienced today?" Not, "What do you do for a living?" but, "What about your work makes you feel alive?" Such a woman has mastered the art of silence. She is not afraid of pauses in conversation, understanding that it is in the quiet moments that the most important thoughts and feelings are born. She listens not to reply, but to understand. She looks you in the eye, and in her gaze, there is no judgment, only acceptance and sincere interest. For a man, such a dialogue is a rare and precious experience. In a world that constantly demands him to be strong, rational, and effective, he suddenly finds a space where he can be vulnerable, reflective, and real. He feels that he is seen not as a function, provider, protector, but as a complex, multifaceted person. This creates an incredibly strong emotional bond, far more powerful than physical attraction. He begins to associate this woman not just with a pleasant pastime, but with a state of depth and authenticity to which he wants to return again and again. How to take this step? Read more. Literature, philosophy, psychology. All of this enriches your inner world and provides food for deep reflection and conversation. Keep a journal. By writing down your thoughts and feelings, you learn to understand yourself better, and therefore, you can better understand others. In conversations, consciously move away from superficial topics. Take a risk and share something personal or ask a deeper question. Practice empathetic listening. Try to feel what is behind the person's words, what emotions they are experiencing. Take an interest in art, music, painting, cinema. This is the language of symbols that speaks directly to the unconscious. Discussing art is a wonderful way to begin a deep dialogue. A woman who has mastered the art of psychological depth becomes more than just a lover or a partner to a man. She becomes his confidant, his muse, the one person with whom he can be completely honest. And such a connection is the highest form of attraction. Step 6. Cultivate a state of inner abundance. The sixth, penultimate step is the culmination of many of the previous ones. It is the conscious shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. The scarcity mindset says, I lack something to be happy. I lack love, attention, money, status. I need someone or something from the outside to fill this void. A woman living in this paradigm is in a constant state of seeking and waiting. Her energy is that of a beggar. She desperately seeks love because she doesn't feel it inside. She demands attention because she doesn't give it to herself. Jung would say that this is a projection of inner emptiness onto the external world. But no person and no thing can fill this void for long. It's like trying to fill a leaky vessel with water. The abundance mindset, on the other hand, starts from the premise, I already have everything I need to be happy. I myself am the source of love, joy, and value. A woman in a state of abundance doesn't seek love. She radiates it. She doesn't demand attention. She generously gives her presence. She doesn't try to get something from a man. She thinks about what she can give to the relationship. Her happiness does not depend on external circumstances. She knows how to find joy in simple things. In her morning coffee, in a good book, in a walk alone. She is grateful for what she has, not focused on what she lacks. Her energy is that of a giver, the energy of a queen sharing the riches of her kingdom. A man instinctively reads these vibrations. The energy of scarcity and neediness is repulsive and creates a desire to distance oneself. It feels like emotional blackmail. Make me happy, or I will suffer, and it will be your fault. The energy of abundance, conversely, is magnetic and attractive. It feels like an invitation. My world is good and joyful. Would you like to share it with me? With such a woman, a man doesn't feel like a debtor or a savior. He feels like a guest at a celebration. Her self-sufficiency and inner richness inspire admiration and a desire to be part of her world. He understands that she chooses to be with him not out of desperation or loneliness, but out of the fullness of her own feelings. And such a choice is the most valuable of all. How to take this step? Practice gratitude. Every day, find and write down 3 to 5 things you are grateful for. This shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present. Be generous. Give compliments. Share your knowledge. Help others without expecting anything in return. This creates a sense of flow and abundance. Invest in your positive emotions. Consciously do things that bring you joy, even if they seem useless. Stop complaining. Complaining is the anthem of the scarcity mindset. Learn to see problems, not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. When you become a source rather than a consumer, your entire reality changes. You become a magnet for people and events. Your attractiveness ceases to be a goal. It becomes a natural consequence of your inner state. Step 7. Embody the self, the quiet power of presence. And finally, the 7th step is the pinnacle, the goal of the entire journey. It is what Jung called the embodiment of the self. The self is our true center, the archetype of wholeness, the point where the conscious and the unconscious, light and shadow, anima and animus, merge into a harmonious unity. If the previous steps were work, this step is the result. It is not what you do, but who you are. A woman who has reached this state possesses a quality that is difficult to describe in words, but impossible not to feel. It is presence. She is fully in the present moment. Her mind is not wandering in the past or the future. When she drinks tea, she feels its taste and aroma. When she listens to someone, she is completely with them. When she walks down the street, she feels the ground beneath her feet and the wind on her skin. There is no fuss, no anxiety, no rush in her. There is only a deep, calm, conscious being. Her attraction no longer depends on her words or actions. It lies in her silence, in her gaze, in her aura. Her presence has a healing power. In her vicinity, inner storms subside, thoughts become clearer, and a sense of peace settles in the soul. She is like an ancient temple. Her power is not in ornate decorations, but in the silence and the feeling of eternity. It is this state that men, and indeed all people, describe as magic, charisma, a special energy. They can't explain what it is, but they feel an irresistible desire to be in this person's field. This is the highest form of attraction because it is completely natural and requires no effort. It is not a mask or a role. It is the radiance of a whole soul. How to approach this state? This is a lifelong journey, but the steps toward it are practices of mindfulness, meditation. Even 5 to 10 minutes a day of simply observing your breath teaches your mind to return to the here and now. Mindful execution of routine tasks. When you wash the dishes, feel the water, the soap, the shape of the plate. Turn routine into meditation. Grounding practices. Walk barefoot more often. Feel the support beneath your feet. This helps to move from mental chaos to bodily sensations. A woman who embodies the self does not try to be attractive. She is attraction itself. She does not seek harmony. She is it. She does not seek love. She is love. And this is the state that every soul ultimately strives for. The 7 steps we have walked through are not just an instruction manual. They are a map for the journey to your true self. A journey from fear to courage, from dependency to freedom, from a mask to an authentic face, from emptiness to abundance. As you may have noticed, none of these steps were aimed at manipulating a man or trying to please him in a specific way. They were all directed inward, toward healing and achieving your own wholeness. And therein lies the greatest secret that Jung revealed to us. Irresistible attraction is not a goal, but a side effect of deep self-love and self-respect. When you accept your shadow, you become deep. When you find your inner anchor, you become free. When you build boundaries, you command respect. When you awaken your anima, you become magically feminine. When you cultivate depth, you create a powerful bond. When you live in abundance, you become a source of joy. And when you connect with yourself, you simply are. And that is enough to captivate, inspire, and remain in a heart forever. Begin this journey today, not so that someone else will be captivated by you, but so that you yourself will be captivated by the amazing, multifaceted, and beautiful woman you are destined to become. And the admiring glances of men will simply be a pleasant confirmation that you are on the right path. If this journey resonated with your soul, share this video. Let there be more women in the world shining with the light of their authentic, irresistible attraction.